Mark, is that you? Or somebody called in. Is that you, Mark?
Yeah, this is Mark. Can you hear me?
No, good. Yes, we can hear you. So we're live on YouTube. The meeting hasn't been called to order yet. We've got a couple minutes before 5. But Ramona and Bessie are here and you, so we do have a quorum that we could get started, even if...
Yeah, this is Mark. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me, Mark?
Mark, can you hear me?
You need to get on top of Mason, Mark.
Yes, I can hear you, Chris.
Okay, good. I wasn't sure. It is 5 o'clock, so you could call the meeting to order if you.
Yes, we have a
Oh, you're on mute.
governing board special meeting today. And I think we have. Oh. Okay, can you hear me now?
Well, I'm just talking to the microphone really loud, and I'll try to.
No.
Special meeting that we'll call to order. Roll call. Tanya. Bessie Allen. Here. Mark Little.
I'm here.
Ramona Allen. Here. Tommy McKay. Gary Grayson.
Tommy McCabe is here.
Gary, is that you?
Hello, did anybody get me that Tommy McCabe is here?
Yeah, Tommy, we got you.
Okay.
Gary's not here? He's not answering. Gary, are you there? On the line? So anyway, we do have a quorum, 4 board members present. So we'll go ahead and continue with the meeting. We have adoption of the agenda. Under new business, the first item is discussion with possible action, a resolution regarding Navajo Nation executive order. And under 3, executive session, to go into, and to, under 2, we have evaluation, the annual evaluation of the superintendent.
Hey, Chris, I can't hear anything. I can barely hear Bessie.
Oh, good. Yeah, Gary's on, but my phone. I've got that microphone on, so try to talk loudly.
I can barely hear Bessie as well. There's a lot of echo or something in the background.
Okay. Well, mine is unmuted, so it's the only way you'll hear me. Can you hear me now? No? Is there less echo now? Still an echo? See, is there anything you see unusual?
There's some loud whistling noise in the background.
We're all really quiet. There's that shaky thing. Well, this is the microphone that
Is that, oh, it's kind of worse.
Well, I turned that off, so.
Oh, that sounds better now.
It's better now?
Yes. On my end, it is.
It's clear on my end too, Chris.
Okay, well, we'll go that way then, and then just talk really loud, and my computer
Okay,
will.
I'm gonna try to talk loud. How about now? But then? None?
Can you hear Bessie when she's talking?
Yes, I can hear her.
Okay.
How about you, Gary? Can you hear me? I guess not. Tommy, Sean, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Not Gary. Jeff, is that hanging out, isn't it?
I hear you.
Okay, should I continue then? Okay, we got, down to the agenda, the executive order from Navajo Nation. And then going to, executive session for the annual evaluation of the superintendent policy, CBI. Then you have third, discussion possible action, payment of superintendent's performance pay. You have the Arizona statute on there, and discussion and possible action, approve of superintendent's contract. We have the ARS, according to ARS 431. And we have reconvene back into the open session, action taken to be taken on items discussed in the executive session. If we need to, then we come to the adjournment. That's the agenda for tonight. I think all of you do have an agenda. So could you, one of you make a motion and a second to accept the agenda? Hello?
Madam Chair. Good evening. This is Board Member Little. Based on what you read, I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda as read.
Okay, I second the motion. There's,
Ramona seconds the motion.
Ramona seconds the motion. Any discussion or anything? If none, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
This is Board
Aye.
Member Little. I vote yes.
And Gary voted in favor, so it's 5.
Tommy?
He did too. He voted in favor.
You voted also?
Mhm.
Okay. 5 in favor of the agenda as written. 0 opposed, no abstaining, so motion is carried. We have an official agenda. First one is new business. Discussion possible action regarding a resolution. Navajo Nation Executive Order 01020. Mr. Oscar, you may need to go to that one.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, and those following along on our live stream on YouTube. Thank you for joining us this evening. Navajo Nation President Jonathan Nez issued Executive Order 01-20 over the weekend, and our attorney's office, Hufford and Horseman, Patrice Horseman, Nathan Schott, sent a draft resolution regarding those executive orders from President Nez's office and the Navajo Nation Department of Health. So it was attached in board docs in the public there, so you can take a look at it. I do have it on the screen for those that are following along on the screen share, so I can read it and then we can discuss it. So it's Pinyon Unified School District number 4, resolution regarding Navajo Nation Executive Order 010-20. Whereas on November 13th, 2020, Navajo Nation President Jonathan Nez issued Executive Order 010-20, ordering that state public schools operating on the Navajo Nation be closed from November 16th, 2020 through December 6th, 2020 in light of increasing COVID-19 cases. And whereas on November 13th, 2020, the Navajo Nation Department of Health issued emergency order number 2020-30, which includes a stay-at-home order in effect from November 16th through December 6th in order to combat the spread of COVID-19. And whereas Arizona Governor Doug Ducey has issued various executive orders in light of COVID-19, including Executive Order 2020-51, related to the operation of state public schools during the 2020-2021 school year. And whereas the Pinyon Unified School District desires to act in conformance with all applicable Navajo Nation, state, and federal laws, rules, regulations, and executive orders, now therefore be it resolved that governing board of the Pinyon Unified School District that the governing board hereby directs and or authorizes the district superintendent or his or her delegates to take the following actions to ensure the district complies with all applicable state laws, rules, regulations, and executive orders currently in effect. Number 1, in conformity with Navajo Nation Executive Order 10-20, there shall be no in-person learning at any district school for the time period set forth in the executive order, as may be shortened or extended by the Navajo Nation. Number 2, in conformity with Executive Order 10-20 and Navajo Nation Department of Health Emergency Order 2020-30, all non-essential district operations shall cease until such time as the orders expire or are rescinded and the superintendent determines that it's safe for staff to return to district facilities. To the extent essential district operations can be conducted from employees' homes, the superintendent shall direct and facilitate essential employees to work from home. Number 3, the district shall continue to provide online and remote instruction in accordance with its state-approved distance learning plan. Instruction shall occur from teacher residence to the greatest extent practicable. Number 4, in conformance with Section 6 of the Arizona Executive Order 2020-51, this is Governor Ducey's order at the beginning of the school year. The governing board has determined that it will continue to pay employees during the period of school closure and stay-at-home order based upon data and information from the superintendent and other sources that affirms that such payments are necessary to preserve properly trained, qualified, experienced staff, serve the public purpose of protecting the district's investment into workforce, and are feasible because the district has sufficient revenues to continue such payments. To be eligible for payment, district employees must remain committed and available to work during the employee's normal working hours, whether the work is to be be performed in person or remotely, or is alternative work for which the employee is qualified to perform. This resolution was adopted at a properly noticed meeting of the governing board on November 17th, 2020. The governing board hereby authorizes the governing board president to sign the resolution on behalf of the governing board. So that's the language that came from Patrice's office, and then there's a place there for the board president's signature should the board approve it this evening. Just some notes. The governing board has previously approved distance learning through the end of the semester, which actually goes beyond this particular health order. It goes all the way to, I believe it's December 18th is the Friday that closes out second quarter in the semester. We also have a waiver in place for on-site services through the end of the semester. I got it approved all the way till the end of the quarter of the semester. So that part has already been in place and is taken care of. We have been doing very limited on-site services for some of our special education students whose IEPs had services that needed to be performed. Earlier today, I directed the teachers that we're not doing that for 3 weeks, so there will be no students on campus at all for the next 3 weeks. And in the case of special education, if there's something that cannot be provided distance or remotely, then we're documenting those, and those students may be eligible for compensatory services once we are able to reopen and provide those services, so that those, we are documenting. It's not that the students are just out of those services, we'll make them up later, basically is what would happen in that sense. And then I sent all the board members an email, if you saw it, that our Pinyon Unified School District number 4 remote work plan. So this is based very closely on what Kayenta did. Their superintendent sent it out, and there's been some discussion among the superintendents. Just some data that we had from the service units. I copied some of the language from this particular resolution and from the Arizona Healthy Kids Open School Plan. And then our remote work plan is listed below. So basically under CDC guidelines, the governor's orders, and the Navajo Nation orders, school employees are considered essential workers. The operations of the school and continuation of academics is considered essential. So what we're looking at is basically anyone whose job duties would allow them to work remotely from home, and they have the internet capacity to do it. Starting today, we're eligible to work from home. And our plan, actually, I met with the administrative team, the principals and other directors, and we put this together yesterday afternoon. I've actually made it through Friday, December 11th, so it actually goes a week longer than the Navajo Nation closure order. We would then have 1 week left of this quarter or semester. And during that week, which is the 14th to the 18th, we would have a rotating schedule where teachers would come in very small groups just to finalize grades and attendance, because that's the last week of the quarter and the semester. So we do the grades and the report cards, transcripts, all of that happens that last week before we go off to our 2-week Christmas break. So we've listed the criteria here. Food service operations are considered essential. Many of our students do depend on the food deliveries that we do. We are working, just as a reminder to the board, we are working under the summer feeding program, so we can provide breakfast and lunch for 7 days worth of food to any child age 18 or under. They don't have to be enrolled in the district. And we do that through a drive up here on campus. And then we also send our school buses out along different routes. And then the students or someone can come to the bus and pick up that food and take it back. So the food service operation continues. Transportation services would continue because we use our buses for that. Business office would continue on site unless the individual can work remotely. Information technology, there are some things they have to do on campus, so they would be here as needed on a rotating schedule. Human resources is here working because they have a lot of questions that they answer. Applications, we are still doing, even though everything's remote, we are still doing interviews. We have applicants for the different positions, so we have those scheduled. And then teaching staff that are able to work from home. We have check-in procedures listed here, so they are checking in with their supervisor twice a day. They are still providing all of their remote learning, their online classes, everything that we've been doing, we continue to do for our students. Those are just some details on the planning. We do still have some office staff at each school. Again, they're working on a rotating basis, basically as call centers. So if parents or students are calling into the schools, there's someone in the office to answer phone calls. And then we did have, in the past, when we were on the closure and the distance learning, we did have some abuse by staff members of, they weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing, or they weren't where they were supposed to be. So we did put in some specific language about, I guess, consequences for not doing that, for not being where they're supposed to be. And then community outreach, FIAT is our Family Involvement Action Teams, doing some public service announcements, flyers. We've been sharing through social media. I've been posting all the Navajo Nation flyers regarding the COVID and the different issues. School offices, we already talked about. The phones are forwarded and we have somebody there. Customer interaction will continue, so we have to be sure that somebody's in all the offices or departments to answer phone calls and to keep things running. Food service and transportation would report. And then direct reports to the superintendent are basically the admin of the district. They also have the option of doing some of the remote work. But they do check in with me. They are still participating in all the Zoom meetings as scheduled. So that's basically sort of how we're handling the remote work plan. And then Patrice's office, with the draft resolution, sent 2 additional documents. One is an employee acknowledgement of responsibilities for maintenance of pay, exempt employees. So exempt employees are those that are on salary, they're not time clock. So that would be your certified staff, your administrators mainly are the exempt employees. So they don't actually clock in and clock out every day, but they still have essentially a 40-hour week that they will be maintaining. And then the other document is essentially the same thing, but it's for our non-exempt employees. And that's mainly our classified staff. And those are our employees who do use Time Clock Plus and clock in and clock out every day. And we are having all staff sign, even if they're not working remotely, if they are working on campus, we're still having everyone sign this and placing it on file just so they're aware of all the requirements, and we have that documentation. Should, this is, well, like before, this is prime audit, financial audit stuff, because you're looking at pay, you're looking at timesheets, you're looking at those issues. So when the auditors come, this is going to be one of those areas that they're going to look at. So we just want to be sure we have the documentation in place and on file. So when the audit comes, we can say, yes, this is how we handled it. All the employees acknowledged, we still have timesheets, we still have the check-in, we still have all of the pieces to verify time so that it doesn't look like we're just paying people for not working, essentially. So what the board would be basically voting on here is the resolution itself, which acknowledges the Navajo Nation orders, basically reaffirms the governor's order from the beginning of the year, and then authorizes the superintendent and other district administration to carry out the distance learning plan and the remote work plan. So with that, if board members have any questions or comments, I will try to answer those. Again, this did come from Patrice's office, but that doesn't mean that we can't tweak it a little bit. If there were anything you wanted to add to it, we could do that as well.
Okay, thank you, Superintendent. Board members, do you have any questions, or is there a motion second to accept this resolution? And along with the local that's been drafted also? Do you hear me? Hello?
Tommy, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was gonna motion to approve, but I still need to ask some question after somebody said.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Ramona seconds the motion. So, any questions?
Okay. Just several questions I had. A couple of them you've already answered. I was going to say that if this was run by the law, our attorney, which it was, then the other thing was just wanted to make sure that we weren't going to be, this wasn't going to be an audit finding that you covered already. I guess more to what if a teacher does not report for work? How does that, how do the students get the education they need for that day? Also, okay, go ahead, Chris, go ahead.
Well, the teaching staff are either reporting to campus, and we do have some that either don't have internet at home or have said they just prefer to come here to campus. The ones who are working from home are checking in. If they're not, even if they're working from home, they still have the opportunity to take leave if they need to, because as part of this executive order, as you're probably aware, like the hours for bashes, I think, are 7 to 3. I mean, everything is very reduced. So if they needed to shop or do essential things, they would have to take leave during the day to do that, because it's still a regular 8-hour workday. So if a staff member took leave and followed the proper procedures, then we would do like we've been doing since the beginning of the year. We've been essentially splitting the classes or having another teacher cover for like a 1-day absence. If it's a long-term absence where it's a vacant position or they're on like FCCRA leave, the COVID leave, then we have substitutes covering the classes. If a teacher just didn't show up, then and we knew it at the time, we would do the same thing. We would try to cover it to be sure that the live lessons were covered and that the students were able to log in and have instruction from someone. And if someone just doesn't show up or doesn't fulfill their duties, then that would also be subject to disciplinary action, just like it would be on any day here on campus. If they just didn't show up, they didn't call in, that's disciplinary action.
Then the other thing I was gonna ask was the teachers coming working from home. I hope they have a pretty good background in the back I hope they have a nice drop back in the back, and which would just look professional on their part. The other thing is, you were talking about the last week, December. What was that? The last week, the
14th to 18th.
14th to 18th. I guess I was gonna ask how it would be nice to have the teachers come back to make sure that everything is all ready to go before the Christmas break. I guess I just I don't know how to put this, but I'm I guess my questions are coming from this past week. With the students that we have here at my house, I kind of noticed that there isn't as much going on as the weeks before, and that's why I was kind of thinking, what if the teacher does not show up? What if the teacher um, just decided to do something else? Um, and then, or else we find out that you know, I guess I don't want to hear excuses down the way where somebody says, "Oh, I didn't have internet connection."
Yeah.
Well, that's all here on this. I don't know if you're able to see my screen if you're following on, but reliable internet at home is required. If your connection is buffering, then you will be required to report to the work location, which is campus. So if they don't have internet that can handle this at home, then they do still need to report to work during the time where they're doing their live Zoom lessons. So that's in the plan. And then the background is here. We've covered that. Teachers will change the background image in Zoom to block the home environment from students. Use a background that is appropriate and not distracting to the learner. And with Zoom, I didn't do it here, but you can put a virtual background behind you.
Yeah,
Either
yeah.
put your own picture there, or there's some stock ones, like you can be sitting on the moon, or you can be sitting on the beach somewhere or whatever. I mean, there's different backgrounds in Zoom that you can choose, but that was something that we wanted to be sure teachers understood. If they're sitting at a desk up against a wall and there's really nothing behind them, they could do that. But if there's a lot of stuff and other, household stuff behind them, then they should use the virtual background. So we address that here.
Okay.
And just, I don't know I don't want to know now in the open meeting, but I don't know which specific teachers or schools you're referring to, but we've had, with this upsurge of cases, we've had staff members who through contact tracing were sent to the clinic to be tested, and they were tested negative. But even if you test negative, you're supposed to quarantine or isolate for the 14 days. So some of our staff haven't been probably as available to work as they would have been otherwise. My understanding from this morning is I think we have one person who is still out who had tested positive, and pretty much everybody else has now returned to work. And this was all put out yesterday afternoon, so we made sure that, and staff was here yesterday, this plan didn't start until today. And that was one of the things that principals were supposed to do, is make sure that teachers took everything they needed with them if they were working from home. So they had their laptop, they had their charger, their laptop, the power cord, they had any books or anything they needed to remove those excuses.
Okay. And then the other thing is, I just wanted to make sure that teachers are understanding that a lot of our parents have lost their jobs, and there may be multiple students in the household, and that the family may have only been able to afford one Chromebook. I don't know if federal programs has identified anything like that. for our students. So, you know, I'm just hoping that because I used to see a lot of the packets come in, and last week and this week I kind of noticed there wasn't that much packets coming out. So
For the most part, the schools are sending out packets every 2 weeks. So it wouldn't be a weekly thing. They're sending
okay,
out larger ones every 2 weeks. And yes,
okay,
federal programs, the McKinney-Vento program, which is the homeless program, and the economic disadvantage, they have been working based on referrals. They have been working with families, and they can pay the Chromebook deposits, and they are providing school supplies and some other things too, if the family qualifies.
okay. That's good to know. That's all I got.
Okay. And one of the things that we put in for expenditure plan from, this is kind of not with the school, but going along that line, the technology, we said we would purchase, I guess federal fiat, or somebody needs to identify which family really need a computer. So some of the families will get computers from the chapter, brand new ones. That's what we're ordering. I think it was like 300. I just set aside 200,000 of our allocation. So that might help at least 30 or so families. That's one other thing we could talk about later, once we identify from the school who needs.
So what we would do, our principals, our school offices know that, and federal programs have been working on that. We can't share those names with you because of confidentiality, but what we can do is work with those, basically refer those people to the chapter. So we can contact them and say, here, call this person at the chapter, and then that you can work with them.
Okay, that's one. That might help. Tommy. Okay, any other questions?
Chris,
Yes?
I think I heard you say something about the FFCRA. Did you mention that earlier when Tommy posed his question about employees who don't show up for work?
Correct. So under the CARES Act, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, the Families First Corona Response Act. Yeah, that, I'm not sure if we have that policy in place, but here at Rough Rock, we do have that in place, and that was issued to us as a guide to use through the same law firm that we have with Pinion, Hufford and Horseman. And basically, it allows an employee up to 80 hours. It doesn't say that they get the full 80 hours. It just says you are entitled up to 80 hours of paid sick leave if you are unable to report to work or telework due to a qualifying reason related to COVID-19 as defined in the FFCRA, which is the Families First Coronavirus Response Act.
Correct.
You must provide documentation in support of these reasons for your paid sick leave.
Correct. We're doing the same. We got the same guidance from Hufford and Horseman, and we've had that in place since the beginning of the school year. Okay,
awesome. Okay. Have you noticed any of the employees abusing this? Because I've noticed that here, and I've had to, consult with the employee. So,
well, there's two pieces to it. There's the 80 hours, which is the sick leave, and we're very strict about documentation on that one. So, and they basically have to go to Pinion Clinic or to their healthcare provider and bring back a document saying they were tested or they're told to isolate or told to quarantine with dates and everything, that all goes through the HR office, and that we're very strict about that one. And then the other the FCCRA, that's more the FMLA, the long term. We've had some
Correct.
staff members, I wouldn't say abusing it, but when we really sit down and explain to them what it is, then they decide not to do it. That it's 2/3 pay, not full pay, and that you have to provide documentation. Like we have several people right now, several staff members now that are using number 5 qualifier, which is the child care, because they don't have anyone at home that can, with daycare closed, with Head Start,
okay.
schools closed, they don't really have a place to put their children who can't, be home by themselves. So we do have staff members out
Yeah.
at number 5. And then we didn't really have anybody using the other indicators until this last week. We had some people apply, and that was based on like I always say this wrong, the pre-existing condition or what would put you at greater risk for COVID. We had some people apply, but then once we provided the option to work from home, they withdrew that. So we've had some staff members that pushed it, but I wouldn't necessarily say we've had any that have abused it yet.
Okay. And then the other thing too is we did have IHS, OEH come to our building and inspect our building to see how many people were in the building. So I'm not sure how far our campus extends to OEH and IHS, but they told us that we had to have a maximum capacity in the building. So we only allow 5 people in the building, and that includes the principal and the secretary. So that leaves 3 other people. So those will be teachers. And those teachers, if they're going to teach from their classroom, need to make arrangements with the secretary. Or if they're going to come in to make Xerox copies or do their lesson plans or whatever have you, they need to make arrangements with the secretary prior to entering the building. So our maximum capacity for the K-6 building and the junior senior high school is at 5 for each building.
We have had the mitigation team from IHS come through, do walkthrough inspections of all 3 of our schools. I think they came to the district office as well. That particularly didn't come up because the buildings are so large. We're still at under capacity because each teacher works in their classroom by themselves. So we haven't had that visit yet or that discussion yet, that specific discussion yet here on campus.
Isn't that maybe
Okay.
5 people in a room, not the whole building?
Yeah, we don't allow more than...
No, we were told 5 people in the building. We thought it was in the room too, but we were just told 5 people in the building. So.
We haven't had that discussion yet, but I'll be on the lookout for that, or we can clarify that. But because right now we just have individual people working alone in their offices or classrooms with the door shut, so there's really no contact. Even here on campus, everything's done through Zoom or through Google, so we're not having any in-person meetings. We're not having people together in any of the, I don't know what that feedback is. Usually that's somebody's phone ringing. I don't know if somebody's phone is, I don't know. So, that's a good question, Mark. We haven't had that discussion with them yet. They haven't contacted us about that, but I'll be on the lookout for that.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? Comments? If not, I'll go ahead and call for the in favor, say aye. Call for the vote to action. Okay, aye. Aye, by Ramona.
This is Board Member Little. I vote yes.
Okay, Tommy? Hello, Tommy?
Board Member McCabe votes aye.
Okay. Gary?
I vote aye.
Okay, I vote aye too. So 5 in favor, 0 opposed to adopt this resolution. Thank you. Moving to the next, go into executive session. Need a motion, a second to go into executive session for discussion and possible action to complete the annual evaluation of our superintendent per policy CBI. And then also discussion and possible action regarding payment of superintendent's performance pay. And then number 3, we have discussion and possible action regarding approval of the superintendent's contract. Then we come back in and take action on the items. So I need a motion second to go into executive session. I'm gonna go ahead and motion to go into executive session. Ramona motions to go into executive session. Any second?
I'll second.
I'll second on that.
Okay, Tommy seconds the motion. So all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Board Member McCabe says aye.
Aye.
Gary?
Gary says aye.
Mark? No.
I think Mark already voted.
Board Member Little. I vote. Board Member Little. I vote yes.
Oh, okay. Okay, so 5 in favor, 0 opposed. We're now going into executive session.
So board members, what I'm going to try to do in Zoom is put you into a breakout room instead of having you like sign out and sign back in or dial. So let me try to put you into a breakout room. That room 1. This, and then, oh, no, go in there. I'm just, but you can take your computer with you because I'll.
The computer? You have it in here?
So you should see something pop up on your screen to ask about going into a breakout room. So if you just click join, then you would go into join the breakout room. So we're not in the open meeting any longer. Joyce, you can actually go back in the room.
This is Mark. Can you guys hear me?
Hi, Mark. You're back in the main meeting, but I can't, for some reason, I can't get you back into the breakout room where we were. How do I? It's not giving me an option to add you back into. Just hang on one second, Mark. Let me go see if they're ready to come back in and or where they are, and I'll figure out another way to get you on. Just one second.
Okay.
will close the breakout room once right now, and then we'll be back in the.
Okay.
So something would have popped up on your screen that says breakout room will close, but you can click the button that says return to main room. And that'll take. Oh,
I'm back.
okay.
I'm still here. Can you guys hear me?
Yes. Can you?
Okay.
Yeah, we closed the breakout room, so everybody should be joining back into the main session. So we are, let me. I think we're just waiting on Bessie to come back into the main boardroom. Ramon is in here. Joyce, Tanya, and I are back in the main room, and I think everybody else is on. So we'll resume in just a second. Everybody's back on? Okay, we're back into the we have done the evaluation, and do we vote on this one? The overall rating? 3.2, it's basically what you do is just motion to accept the results of the evaluation as they were presented.
I'll agree in motion to accept the results of the annual evaluation of the superintendent for policy CDI.
I'll second that motion.
Second by Tony. Okay. Any other discussion on this? If none, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Board Member Little, I vote yes.
And Gary voted yes.
Everybody? All right. 5 in favor, 0 opposed, none abstaining, motion is carried. Thank you. Next item, 3.3, discussion and possible action regarding payment of the superintendent's performance of the performance pay, which is $3,000 from his contract. So we will go ahead and pay the 3,000 that's withheld from his salary. Since he has been satisfactory, overall satisfactory in his performance, so he deserves the performance pay. So I don't need a motion to go ahead and approve.
Board, can you make the motion to approve the $3,000 pay, performance pay? I think I was one of the ones that got the email from the Auditor General saying that the report was received and everything was in line, so.
So Tommy, I don't know if you could hear, Tommy motioned to approve.
I'll go ahead and second up.
Gary seconds.
Thank you. Go, Gary, second motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Anybody
Board
else?
Member Little, I vote yes.
Okay. So 5 in favor, 0 opposed. Thank you. Now, 3.4, discussion and possible action regarding approval of superintendent's contract. This is for the future week after the end of June next year. His contract goes to the end of June 2021. Thereafter, the number, how long, year, so. That's a motion, let's face it there. And then, 130,000, the original offer told with 3,000 withheld for performance fee. Not necessarily, Mark, she is at the thoughts of the union stipulation. Those kind of things that we try to performance fees. Okay. Last motion, nothing. Roman?
I will go ahead and motion to approve the superintendent contract, with the employment duration of 3 years, July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2023. And to be compensated at, 130,000, with 3,000 for performance pay. The other benefit that we need to, check with is the insurance benefit.
The life insurance
Oh,
benefit.
life insurance. Okay, Ramona motion to offer, a 3-year contract with a 30,000, salary, and to withhold 3,000 from that 30,000 for performance fee. And, ask the legal team, our legal team to look into the life insurance. We may reduce that to 150 or somewhere around there where it's comfortable in our budget. Okay, that would be. I need a second. I'll go ahead and second the motion.
Madam Chair, I have a question. According to the Arizona School Board Association policies or bylaws, when is the latest that we can offer an employment contract?
Well,
It's For administration, I believe it's April 15th.
So,
Okay, with that stated, Madam Chair, I'd like to entertain an amendment motion, please, a substitute motion. My substitute motion would be, with all due respect to the new board that's coming in, that we table the superintendent's contract until the new board comes in, due to the new board will be working with the superintendent. And I motion that we table the contract offer.
also, Sylvan, with all due respect, also, that Joanne, they haven't been with the school.
I can't hear you.
But that's what, with respect, I'd like to ask you, so, we're the ones that are going through this, we see what is needed. The new board members will come in, and I don't think they would be ready to just give a superintendent a contract. They need to get to know the school. So, not so disruption, yeah, they can do that. I feel like this board has a direction. Suppose they come in and have their own agenda. Oh, it's not Kanane, don't why don't we just go ahead and put our foot down and just vote on what we want to offer on New Year's and be ready to go forward. They should that they can work with it so they can understand the direction. What overlooked at the time, we don't know what's going to happen. Although I think that the people are pretty good people. I know Dorothy pretty well. I don't know the other person. So it is a credit, yeah, that makes me nervous.
But if we approve the contract now for 3 years, the contract is going into 3/4 of their term. They serve a 4-year term, and if we do the 3 years, we're stuck with Mr. Osgard as our superintendent for the next 3 years.
Oh, well.
I think you need to give that opportunity to the new board as well, to give that opportunity and give them the chance to be able to work with him. I would say maybe a year or two, and then after that, then it can be up to that board to decide if they want to issue a 3-year contract or 2-year contract.
I think we're leaving it wide open. If we really have a vision for the school.
Madam Chair, I think you need to put that, all due respect, you're not going to be on the board for the next term.
Yeah.
And I think you need to give that opportunity to the new board that's going to be coming in.
Well,
because if you just give him the 3-year contract, you're not giving the opportunity for that new board to never mind.
they'll have a year and they can always do a new superintendent, if that's what you're saying.
No, if we give the 3-year contract, and let's say next year the board wants to non-renew, well, they can't because he has a 3-year contract, then we have to pay him out the remainder of the contract. I'm saying we because I'm going to still be on the board. And we're going to have to pay him out the remainder of that contract. if we approve the 3-year contract now, this evening.
Okay, well, we have a motion and second. Let me just call for the motion.
Okay, no, I entertained an amendment motion or a substitute motion, and my motion was to table the contract.
So there's a substitute motion. Is there a second to the
So your
substitute motion?
motion is substitute to wait until later in the year. So, is there a second to that one? If there's no second, that motion is invalid now. So I'll go back to the main motion. The main motion, we'll call for that vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
I vote no. This is Mr. Little.
Okay. Tommy?
Well,
Tommy, are you still there?
which one are we voting for?
The original, there was not a second to the substitute motion, so this is Ramona's original motion that Bessie seconded.
What was what was the motion to that one?
It's a 3-year contract offer with 30,000 and the 3,000 withheld from that for performance pay. So I did call for that motion.
The floor is still open for another motion if you want to entertain something.
A substitute motion?
Well, actually, your vote, there's already been votes cast on this one, so I think you need to close this one out before, because Ramona and Bessie have already voted, so, and Mark already voted.
So, just Tommy and Gary.
I'm gonna,
Yeah. Tommy,
I'm gonna go ahead and oppose the 3-year.
okay. Gary and Sean.
I'm also gonna oppose the year.
Opposing the.
And
The
I
board
want,
members, now we non-renewed him, so his contract ends on June 30th of 2021. That was the reason why I made a substitute motion to table this until the new board came in. Now the vote's done.
I'm gonna go ahead and make another substitute motion to offer Mr. Oscar a 2-year contract, 130,000, 3 years, or 3,000 for performance, and to advise legal to put in line the life insurance.
Oh, that's the one.
I'll second on that.
No, all he changed was from 3-year to 2-year. So when Tommy did it, he did a 2-year. The one he just did, and I think, Gary, did you just second that one?
Yes.
So the way we need to do this is, the 3 of us voted on the 3 years, the 30,000 and 3 years, compensation, 3,000 held for compensation pay, performance pay, yeah, and look into the life insurance by the legal team. That was voted on. 3 in favor.
Noes.
2 opposed.
Noes.
That's the
No,
one.
no.
2 in favor, 3 opposed.
Oh.
So Tommy then made another motion on that same one for 2 years. So it stayed the same. It's just 2 years instead of 3 years. And Gary seconded that.
I don't know if that,
Yeah, the motion that was made, that was voted on, went away. So now there's another motion on the same item for a different term.
I think we need to rescind that vote.
Because we couldn't go with 3 opposed and there's just 2 of us. Then that vote.
Madam Chair,
Yeah.
Madam Chair, point of order. We've already taken action on the item. It's voted on and it was turned down. The employment contract was non-renewed. Now, what my question is since that item's already voted on and turned down, can we legally re-entertain another motion, what Mr. Tommy McCabe did, if that's a legit motion?
It is because, I mean, the motion that was on the floor, but now there's another motion on the same item. So if that motion passes, it would be a legit vote.
Okay, then.
Okay.
So we have a motion by Tommy for a 2-year contract at $130,000 and seconded by who?
Gary,
Okay.
Okay.
For the question.
Call for the question.
Any other discussion? None? So all those in favor of the 2-year contract with 30,000, 3 years, 3,000 for performance pay, and look into the life insurance. Is that how it's spelled?
yes.
Okay. So all those in favor for the 2-year contract offer. Say aye.
Board Member Little, I vote yes.
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 Gary, yes?
And Tommy was yes.
Okay.
For 3 years is wrong, so all this is vote yes.
Yeah, I guess I'll vote yes too. Only Ted and Chuck? Yes. Ramona, yeah, both yes too. So 5 in favor, 0 opposed. So that would be, you work with Patrice's office to draft this thing up. All right. Thank you. Now I need a motion for
Thank you.
Adjourn.
adjournment.
I motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, there's a
Gary second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Johnson, say anything? A special meeting for topic change? No?
No, we got a letter. Oh, well, the meeting's adjourned. There was 500, so.
Adjourned. Thank you.
No, we got a letter that we don't need to do a budget revision this year. Our budget's fine the way it is. We don't need to do a revision, so.
Okay.
Normally, we would have to have a public hearing or something on and do the budget revision, but it's fine the way it is, so we don't have, in December, but we don't have to do a budget revision in December.
All right.
Stop